Welcome back to Forecast Earth, where we take a look at eco-innovators. Green inventions don't always come cheap. Clean technology, for example, often takes millions, even billions of dollars to develop. That's where Paul Holland comes in. He and his company, Foundation Capital, invest in energy efficiency and smart grid technology. And while Holland may not create the next great green tech invention, you can bet he hopes to financially back it.
Plenty of pancakes.
Do you like pancakes, JJ?
Venture capitalist Paul Holland knows his way around an organic pancake.
Plenty of pancakes left over.
It's a tiny nod at the very big way this former software guru is steering his family life and his business life toward living and investing in a greener world.
The sun's coming in from the east now, so we'll get the sense of what light's going to feel like as it comes into our bedroom. And so we've got
in Silicon Valley, south of San Francisco, Holland and his wife, Linda Yates, are in the planning stages of building the greenhouse of their dreams.
You get a sense of why we're building the house up here, because this is our view. It's essentially its own energy factory, so the house will be environmentally regenerative at some level. We're creating enough energy for the house and for the cars.
And while this electric car still depends on the grid,
This is the 21st century school bus.
already the family is practicing its morning drive to school as an opportunity to get off fossil fuels. But that's still a work in progress.
Okay, ready to get into my very non-green car and go to work,
So what drives Paul Holland as a successful venture capitalist, investing other people's money and his own in new projects?
We're really focused on energy efficiency. We think there's a huge win there.
His company, Foundation Capital, is arguably among the top venture capital firms in the world in terms of results. It has invested $2.5 billion in startup companies over the last 13 years.
We see a lot of business plans around renewable energy sources.
And in the last 5 years, $150 million of that has gone into so-called clean tech ventures. Welcome to the world of eco-capitalism. 10 years ago, you
Right.
work a lot with business students. You
Yeah.
have business school students, engineering school students.
That's
10
correct.
years ago, they were developing internet-type companies.
That's correct.
But today,
Yep.
it's different.
Today it's clean tech. I mean, if you're coming out of Stanford Business School or the engineering school at Stanford, 9 out of 10 of those students had an internet business plan, right? And we go see them, I've got this on shopping.com, Now that whole thing is switched.
What primarily is driving the need for change?
I kind of call it the hammer and the anvil. Number one, very high real and absolute energy costs. It's unprecedented that we would experience something like this in our lifetimes. High energy costs is a big driver. But then the other side, sort of the anvil that the hammer's banging into here, is the moral imperative around climate change. That's creating governmental initiative, that's creating passion among consumers.
A lot of buzz around clean tech.
Right.
I'm not sure we fully understand it and how people are going to make money in it, but we figure we at least pick your brain before we dive into an initiative.
These economic and public policy changes are creating big opportunities to make money. And thousands of hopefuls come to venture capitalists like Holland looking for advice and money to fund ideas that range from the more conventional, like smart utility meters and rubber tire recycling, to the more unusual, like biofuels made out of algae. You have about, 1,000 ideas coming to your company on any year?
We get exposed to about 1,200 a year. We narrow that down very quickly to about maybe 300. We invest in roughly 12 to 15 of those. So about 1% of the things we see we invest in.
And of that 1%, a quarter of those investments are green, with a strong focus on improving existing energy efficiency rather than creating something brand new.
If you divide the world in two pieces as far as clean tech is concerned, you've got, very broadly speaking, the demand side and the supply side. Supply side, we understand. It's new solar cells, it's new biodiesel and so forth. That's very exciting. It's not as appealing to us as early stage venture investors. The demand side we can influence, we can put our hands on. So we can come and create new technologies, new networking technologies, new software solutions that help manage demand and help create a more efficient use of energy.
Sirius Materials is one of the chosen ones. It received $50 million in startup funds from Foundation Capital and other investors for its next generation drywall called Eco-Rock, which could save up to 25 billion pounds of greenhouse gases a year nationally by not using the traditional gypsum, which produces carbon dioxide. That fits neatly into Holland's vision of a startup worth supporting. Do you have a dream picture of where you would like to see us headed as a society?
I have a dream picture, but it's in a fairly sort of writ small because I work at the individual level of these companies. From my perspective, if we could just become way more efficient about the way we use our current flows of energy, we can solve an enormous amount of the problem that we're being faced with today. Okay, everybody out. Everybody out. Devin, you got your report? I'm the father of 3 daughters. They're 9, 7, and 6. Okay, you got your flip? When I'm 90 and I'm talking to their children, I want to feel I did the responsible thing for my era, and that's part of what I'm trying to do. Your report is in your backpack, okay? Just get it out right when you get there, okay? All right, love you. Have a good day.
Within the high-risk, high-reward, high-wire act of being a venture capitalist, today there's a new breed, like Paul Holland, seeking not only a big paycheck, but a big environmental payoff as well. Joining us now, our climate expert, Dr. Heidi Cullen, for a little more perspective on this. First question, Heidi, is clean tech really the next big thing?
Clean tech is a very big deal. Between high oil prices and fears about climate change, it is right up there with the traditional big 3 in venture capital, which is software, biotechnology, and internet startups. And to put that in perspective, basically $31 billion in 2007 went towards venture capital investments, and $5 billion of that went straight to clean tech.
For one example, in that, Paul Holland of Foundation Capital says his company has spent millions more on a company that specializes in solar solutions for people's homes. So that's one example. What are the hot sectors in this area?
Perfect example. Hottest sector in the clean tech area right now is alternative energy, especially solar, wind, and biofuel. Over $2.8 billion went there.
And a lot of that money went from T-Boone Pickens to wind solutions in Texas.
And that feeds right into the next big sector, which is energy storage. You've got to be able to store all of that great solar and wind power. And another big one is one of Paul Holland's favorites, which is energy efficiency.
So there's a lot out there. It'll be interesting to see what is the next big breakout thing that everybody sees.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Okay, Dr. Heidi Cullen. Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you.
And we'll be back.
Just ahead, a woman who used some creativity and a sewing machine to make an eco difference.
Literally had to take them apart and put them back together again.
Her simple but revolutionary solution when Forecast Earth returns.